Pakistan and Afghanistan were once fast friends. But in the recent months, troops at the border have opened fire on each other.
We are just responding to the use of force. We are being attacked. What do you expect?
What is at the heart of this neighborly fallout?
Relationships have also deteriorated because Pakistan assumed a lot. They thought that the Taliban owe them a lot.
It's supposedly a friendly regime, but how a militant regime of that nature can be friendly is the real question that we would always ask.
And will it cost both countries billions in foreign investments?
Chinese investments in Pakistan, the number one issue is security of Chinese nationals, which is as it should be. If Pakistani nationals were being killed in China, wouldn't we be concerned?
Kari Beram is Afghan, but Pakistan is the only home he knows.
यहाँ पे हम लोगों का पैदाइश भी यहाँ पे हुआ है, ठीक है। तकरीबन 40-45 साल से हम लोग यहाँ पे रहते हैं। हम खुद यहाँ पे पैदा हुए हैं, हमारा बच्चे यहाँ पे पैदा हुआ है। आपको पता है सारे की। बस हम लोग मंडी में, तुमको पता है हम लोग सारे जो लोग हैं मंडी में काम करते हैं। तकरीबन 50 से लेकर 60% लोग जो है अब मंडी में जो है ना काम करता है, अफगानी लोग है।
Beram's family fled Afghanistan during the Soviet-Afghan War in the 1980s. In the decade since, they were joined by millions more, as scores of Afghans fled conflict and crossed the border. First, during the American War on Terror in 2001, which ousted the ruling Taliban. Then again in 2021, when the Taliban returned to power. There are nearly 3 million Afghan refugees in Pakistan, but they are now no longer welcomed.
गुजारे की इन हालात बहुत आजकल गुजारा बिल्कुल तो नहीं होते हैं। एक साइड से जो है ना हुकूमत की तरफ से हम लोगों पे बहुत बड़ा सख्ती है, दूसरा साइड जो है ना इधर हमारा चोपड़े जो ये गिरा सीडिया वाला की वजह से आजकल हमारा गुजारा बहुत मुश्किल है। आपके सामने बच्चे देख रहे, बच्चे हैं, इतना सर्दी है कि मैं तुम्हें क्या बता दूँ।
Since April, Pakistan began deporting Afghan refugees. This follows a similar spate of expulsions in October 2023, when tensions rose between Pakistan and Afghanistan.
So they started repatriating refugees forcefully. Taliban, as you know, that their economy is very weak, and if 400,000, 200,000 refugees all of a sudden, enter Afghanistan, it creates a lot of challenges, economic challenges for the Taliban. Pakistan can use, this Afghan refugees as a leverage to put pressure on the Taliban.
Why would Pakistan put the squeeze on Afghanistan, which it once considered an ally? At the center of the bad blood is a terror group known as Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan.
So, Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, or TTP, also known as the Pakistani-Taliban, draw their spiritual guidance from the Taliban. They pledge their oath of allegiance to the Taliban supreme leader, and by waging an armed struggle, they want to create a similar state in Pakistan, which is guided by Sharia principles, and they believe in an austere interpretation of Islam.
The TTP, founded in 2007, is an umbrella organization of various hardline Sunni Islamist groups. The TTP are active in the restive Pakistani provinces of Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which border Afghanistan. Pakistan witnessed a surge in militant attacks in 2024, with over 500 incidents throughout the year, resulting in more than 1,500 deaths. It was the deadliest year in nearly a decade. The government pinned many of the attacks on the TPP and its affiliates, including an attack in the cantonment of Banu, which killed 8 soldiers and injured over 140 people.
So Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan say this government does not follow the rules of Sharia. They say that this government is a puppet of the West. So they continue using these narratives to justify their existence and justify their violent acts not only against the Pakistani state government but civilians as well.
Pakistan blames the Afghan Taliban for sheltering and supplying the TTP on the Afghan side of the border, a charge the Afghan Taliban denies.
Everybody knows there are thousands of Talibans of Pakistani origin, the TTP, the Pakistani brand of Talibans. They are living over there. They have support from different factions of the Taliban government in Kabul also.
So their official position is that TTP is not on Afghan soil, but fact of the matter is these people operate from Afghanistan. If you look at UN Monitoring Committee's report, it says that Taliban are financing TTP and they are also helping them live in Afghanistan, train, plot and execute attacks in Pakistan.
In retaliation, in late December last year, Pakistan launched a series of airstrikes across the border into Afghanistan, purportedly targeting TTP strongholds. But when the smoke cleared, Afghan officials said the airstrikes killed 46 civilians, mostly women and children.
شپې داسې 9 بجې څه پسه 9 بجې وې چې پاکستان نه جټر ولې بمباري وکړم په دا کې مو پکې چې بمبار وکړ 15 کسان شهیدون کې وشول یو مې پلور و یو مې ورور و دوی مې خواندې وې یو مې مېر و یو مې وندیار و درې مې ورارینه وې دوی مې ورارې وې مو خپله قبیله و یو جنکای و دوی جنکای مې خپله کړه و دا 15 نفر مو پکې کې شهیدان شوي بس خب پاکستان داس حکومت چې پیسې جمع دو اسیایی ته زدو و میش خوامی نام غابی نام تی تی پی ولا دی وگا کول خو نه دولا تی تی پی استایی کې شای نوی میجا خورا دی میش پل کری ندی میجا وامی میش پل افغانیونی.
We are just responding to the use of force. We don't have a choice because we are being attacked. What do you expect, that we should go down on our knees and beg for mercy from them? We have to react.
Now, Pakistan has done these airstrikes as a measure of last resort. The idea was to change Taliban's strategic calculus that they stop harboring TTP or they will do something about the TTP problem.
In the aftermath, both Afghan and Pakistan Taliban officials condemned the airstrikes and promised to retaliate.
او د صلح لاله غواړي خپل گاونډیو او خپل منطقې له ملکونو سره مخ ته ولاړ خو که څوک بیا په دې طریقه نه ځي بیا زموږ بله لاره هم زده او موږ دوی ته بیا دا نصیحت کوو چې دوی د هغه تور زوړ تاریخ نه تکراروي چې هغه دوی تکرار کړي او پرې باندې ټوټې ټوټې سول دا وارې که دغه زوړ تاریخ بیا تکراري دا وارې به بیا ټوټې ټوټې کېږي له بینه به ځي.
जो बमबारी अफ़गानिस्तान की सरजमीन पर जो बमबारी पाक फ़िज़ाइया की तरफ से होती रही है मुख्तलिफ़ अवक़ात में, ये एक ज़ालिमाना अमल है, एक मुजरिमाना अमल है जो आलमी क़वानीन के साथ साथ पड़ोसी मुल्क की हरीम को इस तरीके से पामाल करना यकीनन एक गलत तरीक़ेकार है. इस पर रद्द अमल ये अफ़गान हुकूमत और आलमी बिरादरी का फ़रीज़ा है.
To complicate matters, the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan, known as the Durran Line, is not recognized by the Taliban. The Pashtun people, the largest ethnic group in Afghanistan, live on both sides of the border.
Afghanistan's position has been this is a British colonial imposition which divided the Afghan families living on both sides of the border, so they are not going to recognize this as an internationally acceptable border to them.
The current tensions belie a once close relationship. In the 1970s and 80s, Pakistan was a staunch supporter of the Afghan Mujahideen rebels during the Soviet-Afghan War. The Pakistan military trained many Afghan fighters, some who would go on to establish the Taliban in 1994, like its leader, Mullah Omar. After the Soviets withdrew, Pakistan continued its support of the Taliban during the Afghan Civil War, which eventually saw the fundamentalist group come to power in 1996.
It's supposedly a friendly regime, but how a militant regime of that nature can be friendly, I think, to the people of the region, I think, is the real question that we would always ask. And
Yet, when the US launched a war on terror after 9/11, Pakistan joined the American coalition. The US invasion of Afghanistan would oust the Taliban in 2001.
Thanks to our military and our allies and the brave fighters of Afghanistan, the Taliban regime is coming to an end.
But by 2021, following the American withdrawal, the Taliban returned to power.
So Taliban feel cheated that Pakistan turned its back to them and, sided with the US. Relationships have also deteriorated because Pakistan assumed a lot. They thought that the Taliban owe them a lot. Pakistan will snap its fingers and the Taliban will just do whatever they want.
One of Pakistan's demands was for the Afghan Taliban to cut off the TTP. But in Pakistan's view, Kabul has done little to curb their ideological brethren.
Sadly, we do not have cooperation from the way we expected. Perhaps our investment over the decades in Afghan issues has gone waste, gone down the drain. We thought that they are our brothers, they are our neighbors.
TTP is a declared designated terrorist group. Afghan Taliban do not see them with that lens. For them, they are jihadi brothers who fought and bled with them on the battlefield. So there is no turning back on TTP as far as the Afghan Taliban are concerned, and it is not just about their camaraderie and close relationship with the TTP, it is also about their ideological legitimacy.
After the airstrikes, the conflict escalated with border skirmishes. The TTP attacked military outposts in Balochistan. The tensions led to the closure of the border at Torkham, a border town in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Torkham is the main artery for goods flowing between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Then, in early March, a firefight broke out between Pakistan and Afghan forces here, leaving at least one dead. Both sides pointed fingers at the other. As tensions escalate, Afghan refugees remain caught in the middle. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has announced a new round of deportations to begin 1st of April. By the end of June, registered Afghan refugees like Khadim will have their status revoked.
बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किलात, अब देख लेना, घर गिरा हुआ है, बच्चे बीमार हैं, कोई मतलब स्कूल नहीं है, अस्पताल यहाँ पे नहीं है, तो अब देख सकते हैं आपके सामने सारा मामलात आपके सामने है. मुश्किलात हम लोगों के लिए आजकल बहुत बड़ा ज़्यादा हुआ है.
Afghan refugees face all sorts of miserable situations all over the world, including in Pakistan these days. And that, unfortunately, or in this emerging geopolitical conflict, I have a feeling that ordinary people will continue to be the major sacrificial pawns.
As Pakistan grapples with souring relations with their neighbor, counter-insurgency efforts are about to become more challenging. Last November, 24-year-old Liaquat Ali barely escaped with his life. The convoy he was traveling with was attacked in the Kurram district in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa.
जब हम चरहेल में पहुंचे तो आधे लोग एक छोटा सा गली थे मस्जिद के करीब और उधर से निकले तकरीबन 8-10 बंदे थे. वो तो रोड के अंदर खड़े थे और बाकी चारों तरफ से फायर शुरू हुआ. जब फायर शुरू हुआ तो उस टाइम पे हमको गोली लगी, 8 गोली लगी सर। 4 गोली इस टांग पे लगी है, 2 गोली उस टांग पे और 2 गोली कमर पे लगी है। तकरीबन 85 लोग जख्मी थे और 103 या 102 लोग ऐसे शहीद हो गए।
Ali and most others in the convoy were Shiite Muslims. The TTP, who are Sunni Muslim, has been known to target Pakistan's Shiite minority. Although he has no evidence, Ali is convinced that those who attacked them were linked to the militant group.
TTP वाले मेरे ख्याल से गांव वाले भी शामिल थे, लोकल भी थे। जब हमला हुआ उसके बाद गांव वाले जब आ गए तो गाड़ियों पे जो ज़रूरी सामान था वो गांव वालों ने लूट लिया था।
The Kuram region has been embroiled in sectarian unrest for months as Sunni and Shiite Muslims clash.
So Kuram has a very unique challenge, security challenge. It's a dispute on land, which both sides claim belongs to them. But because of the land issue, one side is Sunni, the other side is Shia, eventually becomes a sectarian issue as well. So what is happening is there are these mischievous elements belonging to different militant groups which then try to sabotage peace. Groups like Islamic State of Khorasan are positioning themselves to pitch themselves as defenders of the Sunni rights. And there are also reports of TTP, coming in from the Afghan side and, arming the Sunni tribes against the Shia tribes.
The attack in Kuram is an example of why counter-terror efforts in Pakistan are so challenging. The provinces of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan are vast, rugged, and undeveloped. Sectarian conflicts and tribal feuds are rife, easily exploited by insurgents. Securing this region is virtually impossible. In the city of Swat, even on a routine trip to the local market, merchant Abdur Rahim is flanked by armed guards. He is the head of a traders association here, and his security is provided by the local government.
मेरे पास 6 गार्ड है, 2 हमारे बचत पे है और 4 हमारे पास रहते हैं। लेकिन मैंने आपको बता दिया कि हम ऐसे बदकिस्मत कौम है। हमने 3 दफ़ा उसने भरपूर कोशिश की मुझे मारने की, लेकिन मुझे अल्लाह ने बचा दिया। मैंने आपको बता दिया जो मारने का इख्तियार तो उनके साथ है जो ऊपर बैठा है ना, इन लोगों के साथ। तो वो अगर चाहता तो वो मुझे 1 मिनट के लिए नहीं छोड़ता। अभी वो मेरे पीछे लगे हो, उसको मालूम है कि बोलने का जो मादा है इस एक बंदे में है, ये बोल भी सकता है और अब सही तरह डरता भी नहीं। तो इसलिए ख़तरा उन लोगों का मुझसे इस लिहाज है कि मैं अल्लाह के फजल करम से न बिकने वाला हूँ न मैं झुकने वाला हूँ।
Abdur Rahim says he is targeted by the TTP because he resisted their efforts to extort him and others in Swat.
2008 में जिस वक्त तेज़ी से तालिबानाइजेशन शुरू हुई TTP की तरफ से, मैं शुरू से तालिबानाइजेशन का मुखालिफ था। मैंने जो दीनी आलम से हासिल किए उसमें कहीं भी ये जिक्र नहीं है कि बदतखोरों की वजह से और लोगों को ज़बह करने की वजह से इस्लाम आ सकता है। बिल्कुल अल्लाह के फजल से मेरा जो जिम्मेदारी है बहैसियत मलाकन डिवीज़न के सदर की हैसियत से मैंने ये जुर्रत लोगों में पैदा करने की कोशिश की है। मैं कामयाब भी हुआ हूँ कि वो बदतखोर जुर्रत नहीं कर सका किसी को फ़ोन करने की, किसी से बदला लेने की। लोगों में मैंने शऊर, जज्बा, गैरत उबार दिया अल्लाह के फजल करम से।
Yet, despite being in danger from the TTP, Abdur Rahim is just as distrustful of any military intervention.
हमारा इस ऑपरेशन पर भी ऑब्जेक्शन है। जो जुल्म इन इदारों ने ऑपरेशन के दौरान हमारे साथ किए है, हमारे माओ बहनों के ज़ेवरात लूट लिए हैं। यहाँ 200-250 लड़कियों को पंजाब मुंतकिल किए गए, निकाह उसके ऊपर हो गई है। हमारे वालिदैन के सामने बच्चों को जलील किया गया और बच्चों के सामने उनके फादरों को, उसके माओं को, बहनों को जलील किया। ऑपरेशन के नाम पर लुटमार हो गया, तबाही हो गया। इस तरह बर्बादी TTP ने नहीं की जिस तरह ऑपरेशन में इन इदारों ने किया है।
The central government and military establishment are viewed with suspicion in the border provinces. The military is frequently accused of enforced disappearances, the kidnapping of people who oppose them. According to Amnesty International, of the 10,000 or so enforced disappearances recorded by the Pakistan Commission of Inquiry since 2011, 3,485 took place in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and 2,752 in Balochistan. And there are other grievances. Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are the two most impoverished provinces. In the previous election in 2024, thousands protested in both provinces. Protesters claimed the polls were rigged, in particular against Pakistan Tehrik-e-Taliban, the party led by former Prime Minister Imran Khan. Taimur Jagra is a politician in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. He belongs to the opposition.
I don't think you will find any sympathy for terrorism or terrorists in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. What I think there exists a lack of trust in the state, the institutions of the state, to mean what they say and to say what they mean. When a government wants to fight against militancy or terrorism within its borders, it needs the support of its own people. And when the military establishment of Pakistan is perceived as becoming a party to a political conflict and taking sides against one political party, in this case Imran Khan's party, then that obviously means that that is going to increase the gulf between the people and the state.
Even as the military establishment grapples with TTP attacks, in Balochistan, anti-government sentiment has spawned another insurgency. On March 12th, a train carrying over 400 passengers was hijacked in Balochistan. The attackers were part of the Balochistan Liberation Army, or BLA. The BLA is a separatist group whose goals are to establish an independent state in Balochistan. In the past, the Pakistan government has claimed that the BLA and the TTP were cooperating, a claim that has been met with some skepticism.
I've not seen any evidence which can support it. And if we analyze the situation, I think the basic ideologies of BLA and TTP are fundamentally different. So the BLA is just a secular, ethnic, nationalist, separatist group, and TTP is an Islamist group which is fighting for the enforcement of Sharia laws.
Since they are operating in geographically congruent conflict theaters, there is some cooperation between local commanders and fighters. But at the official, ideological and organizational level, there is no evidence to suggest that the two groups cooperate.
As the train hijacking crisis unfolded, a Pakistan Army spokesperson said the hijacking was planned and coordinated from within Afghanistan.
हमारे पास शवाहिद हैं फितना अल ख्वारिज के और बाकी दहशत की अफगानिस्तान में मराकज़ हैं, उनके वहाँ पे लीडरशिप मौजूद है, तरबियत हो रही है, उनको वहाँ से रिक्रूटमेंट मिल रही है.
The Afghan authorities said these claims were baseless.
There is no doubt that these Baloch separatist groups, they are getting support from international actors. We don't really know for sure. I mean, the government of Pakistan has constantly blamed India for it. Previously, they used to blame Afghanistan as well. But we need to understand is that we have a homegrown problem. This Balochistan problem, the grievances, these are homegrown problems. The foreign actors, they are only exploiting it.
Now, on the Afghan front, Pakistan at one level has trust issues with people, Pashtun people living in the Afghanistan-Pakistan border areas because of unkept, unmet promises. They expected development, they expected reconstruction of destroyed infrastructure, they expected development funds from the government. Those funds were never given to them.
It is believed that the discontent at the border has led to the expanding recruitment for not just the TTP and BLA, but also an ISIS offshoot. The Islamic State of Khorasan Province, or ISK.
In Balochistan, the people voted for someone else and someone else came to power. So in the absence of a grievance redressal mechanism, the people of Balochistan, they feel completely deprived, and then the militant outfits, they take advantage of the situation and they entice them that the only solution for them is to fight the state, and that's why the militancy is increasing.
The population of alienated young people in this country has grown and is growing. And until and unless you meet the basic needs of your population for peace, for security, for employment, for health, for education, I think that the number of people who are attracted to militant causes will certainly continue to grow.
As militancy grows at the border, one group of people have been targeted by insurgents: the Chinese. What will this cost Pakistan and Afghanistan?
I come here basically for study, and then after I started a restaurant business, and I found out Pakistani like very much Chinese food. And after a few years, I started Japanese because a lot of Chinese food are coming up. Then I want to have something new.
Amy King has been running her Asian restaurant since 2002. Initially, she catered to locals. But around 2015, the restaurant began to see an uptick in Chinese diners.
Since the CPEC coming up, and we have a lot of Chinese people come. When they come travel to Islamabad, they usually find the Chinese food. Of course, it's good for my business.
CPEC is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. It is part of Chinese President Xi Jinping's flagship global infrastructure and economic project, the Belt and Road Initiative.
The size and scale of Chinese investment in Pakistan is the highest in the entire history of Pakistan, in terms of numbers, in terms of depth, in terms of quality and quantity, and in terms of the time frame.
CPEC was signed in 2015 when President Xi visited Pakistan. Prior to his trip, President Xi said he felt as if he was going to visit the home of his brother, a sign of the close ties between the two countries.
You see, Pakistan is a neighbor of China. Pakistan is a key country and has received the maximum investment in the last 10 years. And this started in 2015, and this is supposed to go on till 2030, 15 years span. So it's really huge, and it reinforces the strong, sustained, strategic partnership between two close neighborly countries, China and Pakistan.
By 2022, CPEC's pledged investments reached $65 billion, a much-needed boost for Pakistan's economy. Projects include the building of highways, railroads, and power plants. A port and special economic zone were established in Gwadar in Balochistan. The port opens out to the Arabian Sea. Both Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan are rich in mineral wealth.
And these are projects that seek to allow China to deal with excess capacity and make infrastructural investments. They also serve strategic needs, in this case, in the CPEC case, to allow China access to the warm waters of which once upon a time the Soviet Union also craved.
Before COVID, there were about 60,000 Chinese expatriates in Pakistan, many involved in CPEC activities. But enthusiasm for CPEC projects have hit a snag. The Chinese have become targets for militants. In April 2022, a suicide bomber hit the Confucius Institute at the University of Karachi, killing 3 Chinese instructors. In October last year, 2 Chinese nationals died in an explosion near Karachi airport. The Baloch Liberation Army claimed responsibility and said they were targeting Chinese citizens.
In the last 5 years, there have been 9 attacks on Chinese projects, Chinese personnel. 19 Chinese have been killed. This is unacceptable. When it concerns CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, Chinese investments in Pakistan, the number one issue, the paramount issue, the number one impediment is security of Chinese nationals, which is as it should be. If Pakistani nationals were being killed in China, wouldn't we be concerned?
Especially after the attack that took place in Karachi last year, of Karachi airport. After that, I have heard that a lot of companies, they are leaving, or they are downsizing their operations, or they are reducing the number of Chinese staff that they have, because it's very difficult for them to work here in these security conditions.
And in May 2024, a suicide bomber crashed an explosive-filled car into a convoy of Chinese engineers in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. 5 Chinese workers and their local driver were killed. Pakistani authorities pinned the attack on the TTP and said it was planned from Afghanistan. The Afghan Taliban rubbished the claim. After the attacks, China called on Pakistan to protect its citizens.
在北京和伊斯兰堡同巴方密切联系，要求巴方加快缉凶，严惩凶手，告慰逝者，采取切实有效措施，确保在巴的中方人员安全。
I think the Chinese are frustrated with the way the government of Pakistan is dealing them, and if the Pakistan cannot protect them despite everything that China has done for Pakistan, I think the Chinese, they feel that they're right if they leave.
We have taken very foolproof measures to protect our Chinese friends and guests, but still there are lapses which embarrass us and which put our friendship with China sometimes in peril.
Sometimes we do receive a Chinese embassy warning message, like say, these days is a problem with security, don't go out so often, and like this. All the Chinese people, of course, is sometimes got disturbed. If it's some messages coming up and got disturbed, just a little careful. But inside the city is okay. If we go outside the city, maybe a little difficult, a little bit, have to be careful.
Why the Chinese are being targeted is complicated. Different groups have different objectives.
China, you came here without our consent, supported our enemies, helped Pakistani military in wiping our villages. But now it's our turn.
The Baloch separatist outfits, they use China as a punching bag when it comes to creating a target or a rallying cry for their supporters. They say that China is a colonial power, it's here to exploit their resources, and ultimately there will be more Chinese in Balochistan as compared to the locals, and we will turn into a minority.
Additionally, Pakistan intelligence has claimed India is funding and training terror groups like the TTP into destabilizing Pakistan. India refutes this.
There are powers within our geographical vicinity also and beyond our geographical vicinity who do not like the presence of our Chinese friends in our country. And they don't want that Chinese investment or Chinese cooperation with Pakistan.
Meanwhile, on the Afghan side, the Chinese have strengthened ties with the Taliban. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi visited Kabul soon after the Taliban's takeover in 2021. And China is one of the few countries that have appointed ambassador to Afghanistan. Afghanistan is estimated to have over $1 trillion in mineral wealth. The Taliban has said it wants to formally join the BRI.
در برنامه‌هایی که چین داره از جمله CPEC است و جمله BRI است و راههای مستقیم خود افغانستان است و راهی که ما را وصل میکنه از طریق تاجیکستان.
Because CPEC is not just about China and Pakistan. We are talking of regional connectivity. The landlocked countries, including Afghanistan, who want to be land-linked through the port of Gwadar. Yes, its plan is on the anvil, but there are issues between Pakistan and Afghanistan.
Should the security situation between Pakistan and Afghanistan deteriorate, any Chinese cross-border projects could prove difficult. For example, integrating Afghanistan to CPEC will include National Highway 8, which passes through Tokham. This border crossing is routinely closed whenever tensions erupt between the two countries.
I think what's happened in recent years with these attacks on Chinese personnel working on various infrastructure projects in many different parts of the country obviously suggests that China, despite its strategic needs, is certainly going to look at the cost-benefit analysis of whether it can actually do business.
Will Afghanistan and Pakistan see eye to eye, or will the deteriorating relationship further fan the flames of insurgency? Shah Malik is a career military man. He retired as a major from the Pakistan military after 27 years of service. His younger son, Uzair Mahmud Malik, followed his footsteps.
I'm from engineers, I'm not from infantry. I wanted that he should join my regiment, but he said he would like to join only and only infantry because they are the people who are always on the front for the war. Someone said it's very easy to face the bullet being a soldier. I myself served this army for about 27 years. But it is very difficult to send your child to face the bullet.
After graduating from the military academy, Uzair Mahmud was stationed at the front lines in the Tiram Valley of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. On August 8 last year, his outpost was attacked by terrorists.
Battalion headquarters was attacked and Uzair Mahmud Shaheed was defending one of the gate. It was heavily attacked and he himself moved with the 4 riflemen. He reached there, he fought very bravely, very gallantly. He was able to repulse the attack. But during that fight, he was struck by a sniper on his head. His skull was completely damaged.
After more than 2 days in hospital, Captain Uzair Mahmud Malik succumbed to his injuries on August 11th.
Before 11th August, we were living a colorful life. Now we are living the life without color. On the funeral of my son on 11th August, it's recorded my video message. I gave a very clear message to these terrorists that I have 2 more sons. I would like to send them on that border. I would like to sacrifice my own life, my son's life, but we will not bow in front of them. And I think this is the resolve which this complete nation has.
In 2024, the Pakistan military reported that 383 soldiers were killed in clashes with insurgents. It is the deadliest year in almost a decade. The increasing episodes of violence meant that Pakistan rose to number 2 on the Global Terrorism Index, behind only Burkina Faso.
So right now, if you look at the top most lethal terrorist groups in the world, 3 of them, the Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, the Islamic State of Khorasan and the Baloch Liberation Army, they operate in Pakistan or in the Afghanistan-Pakistan region. They are there. It means that conflict is escalating. It means that Pakistan's security challenges are multiplying.
3 things should be done. Number 1, have a comprehensive counter-terror strategy in Pakistan, which we currently lack. Number two, build bridges diplomatically with Afghanistan and Iran and expose Indian sponsorship of state terrorism. And number three, have political stability, release political prisoners, and end this political polarization. So there is a genuine national consensus. The whole nation is united against terrorism.
Continued tensions with Afghanistan could hamper counter-terror efforts. Previously, Kabul facilitated a ceasefire agreement between Pakistan and the TTP in 2022. But the deal collapsed within months after the TTP ordered a resumption of attacks.
In Pakistan's case, numerous agreements were inked between militant groups and the government of the day to cease fire or to have some kind of, sort of temporary peace, but they always collapsed. These are political problems, and no political problem in the history of the modern era has ever had a military solution.
In an attempt to smooth over tensions, Pakistan's envoy to Afghanistan, Ambassador Mohammad Sadiq, visited Kabul in late March. Both sides pledged to enhance engagements and trade.
I don't see any war between, inshallah, there won't be, and this situation will never occur between Afghanistan and Pakistan. I can safely say that we'll ultimately find a solution because there are countries within the region who are keen and who have stakes also in this situation, who are helping us to bridge the gap between Kabul and Islamabad.
China has a good relationship with Pakistan, has a good relationship with the Taliban, Russia also. Connectivity projects and other projects where Pakistan and Afghanistan can partner under the Chinese umbrella, and that will help them overcome trust issues. Once they are able to trust each other, they will be in a better position to understand each other's perspective, how Pakistan views TTP and how Taliban view TTP. So move away from geopolitics and build economy to survive. But that requires will, that requires sincerity, and that requires bold politics, which I think right now is lacking both in Islamabad and Kabul.
Tensions with its neighbor and increased militancy come at an unpropitious time for Pakistan. It is still battling a debt crisis, while the fallout from the contentious 2024 elections continues. Just last November, thousands of Imran Khan's supporters marched on the capital, clashing with police.
The fixing of Pakistan's economy requires the world to have confidence in the economy of Pakistan. That confidence can only be reflected through investment in Pakistan. And I promise you, no one invests in a country where they have no faith in the political stability or in the continuity of the political system.
Now, for counterinsurgency and counterterrorism, the trust of public is extremely crucial for the efficacy of counterterrorism framework. Both in Balochistan as well as in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, people do not trust the government. The state-society gap is huge. And then there are these groups which are just gaining operational and organizational strength because of the weak state-society bond. So at the political level, at the economic front, at the diplomatic front, and at the security front, Pakistani state has its work cut out.
Meanwhile, the TTP has vowed to step up its attacks on the Pakistan military. It announced it would target civilian-run companies with links to the military establishment.
पहुंचा है और क्या जवाब फराहम करते हैं? हम आवाम को मारना नाजायज़ और हराम समझते हैं. किसी सूरत में उनको मारना जायज़ नहीं समझते, इल्ला ये कि वो फ़ौज का 100% हिमायती बन जाए और 100% उनके साथ असलहा उठा ले और मुजाहिदीन के ख़िलाफ़ अमलन मैदान में कूदा है. तो उस सूरत में वो फिर आम नहीं बनता, फिर वो फ़ौजी बन जाता है.
At the moment, we have only one option to deal with them, and that is kinetic. And they do pose serious threats to, especially to two of our provinces, Balochistan and KP. But we are facing the brunt, and our forces are facing it very bravely.
And these wars, sometimes wars in the name of fighting terrorism, it's the civilian cost that I think is the highest. So really, it's a question of how do you sustain a lasting peace in a region. There are new youth-led movements that have called for peace and have been anti-war. It is these sorts of long-term ideological shifts that you require to move away from this cycle of doing a deal and then doing an operation. Unless, the space to do peaceful and democratic and progressive politics opens up, I think you will continue to lurch from crisis to crisis, from operation to deal and back.
What happens next in Afghan-Pakistan relations? Despite signs of diplomatic thaw, Pakistan still plans to deport Afghan refugees. Islamabad delayed the expulsion for the Eid holidays, but only until April 10th. Should refugees flood across the border, it could trigger Afghan animosity and retaliation. For refugees like Khadim, the future remains uncertain.
पुलिस हमारा साथ ज़्यादती करती है, यहाँ पे नहीं छोड़ता है, वहाँ पे हम लोग काम भी उसकी वजह से नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि जब हम लोग सौदा ले लेते हैं, सौदा बेचने का टाइम हो जाता है, वो लोग आ जाते हैं, फिर हम लोग निकल जाती है, वहाँ पे सौदा आ जाता है, हज़ारों रुपयों का पैसों का जो है सौदा आ जाता है, वो लोग तो हमसे पैसा मांगते हैं जिससे हम लोग लेके आते हैं, वो तो मुझे फ्री नहीं देते, और हम चाहते हैं कि दोनों अपना भाई की तरह रह जाए, जंग लड़ाई ये बेरमारी करके ये न कर रहे, हम लोग भी इधर खुश होगा और वो लोग भी उधर खुश होगा.